Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hello and hello, Gertrude, and thank you for welcoming me. My name is Zana Goic Petricevic, and I am based in Croatia. I'm calling in today from Croatia. And the question about my story, wow, that is a big question. I guess the most honest answer about my story and who I am today would be I am today because of one morning when everything I thought I was simply disappeared within 5 hours. So basically, to tell you my story, I need to take you back to 2011 when one morning I came to work. I was working in a big organization. I was a director of a department. And after a couple of minutes of just sitting at my desk and looking at my computer, the whole screen went black. And I remember so vividly, as if it was yesterday, how I reached out my hand to pick up the phone, to call my assistant, yet another woman, to ask her, oh God, what's happening? And could you call IT or someone to help me deal with this? You know, as managers, we like to deal with things that are very on the surface in the moment. Let's fix those things that are very visible. However, just in a couple of moments, I realized that that was a far bigger issue than just an IT thing. And I was faced with a security manager who asked me to leave the building and essentially leave the life that I knew that far. So that wasn't an end of a job, of a role. That was an end of an identity. And from that moment, what started was a beautiful yet a very messy process of reinvention. And you know, if this was a film, I would probably tell you, you know, the next morning I woke up, I was already done with my reinventing process and I started a new life. That is true if you think that the next morning came in 4 years' time. So in real life, it took about 4 years for the messy middle. That period that no one likes to talk about, and we love to talk about it once we're over the edge, but in those moments, we're really struggling. And I think it's really important to talk about that, especially for women out there, so they wouldn't feel alone or strange or weird thinking what's happening for them. The process of reinvention is something that's always painful, always messy, and it's always a great source of the strength that we eventually show. But besides that, another thing that I want to share when I speak about my story is that today, as I'm in a leadership development space. I've built up my new life, my new career, my new identity. I see things that I wish I knew in my previous life. And these are the things related to the safe boxes that we often occupy as women, and we stay in them for too long. Not only that we tolerate our safe boxes, and when I say safe box, I mean a role, an environment, all those I need to, I must, I should, I cannot, it would be irrational, it would be crazy, it wouldn't be safe, it would be too risky. So all of these talks or self-talks exist in those safe boxes that we occupy and that we don't just tolerate, but we decorate them with time, and we start convincing ourselves that we are just in the right place for our potential until something like my morning happens, and then we actually realize, oh, I don't think I've ever actually belonged here because there was something bigger and bolder waiting for me. Today, I live that bigger and bolder, as I said, in a leadership development space. I'm a keynote speaker, I'm a leadership development consultant, coach. I work with big organizations, with their leadership teams, with their leadership audiences, bringing conscious leadership and creating bold leadership cultures. I do that today, bringing my SOUL framework. SOUL is an acronym that stands for Self, Other, Universe, and Legacy. And essentially, I teach and train leaders and have conversations with them so they could deepen their self awareness, system awareness, and their most decisive actions. When we talk about my framework, we actually talk about the 4 leadership playgrounds where leaders learn how to transform themselves before they transform their businesses. They learn how to transform their businesses together with other people and not alone, because everything that's really important and big cannot be done alone. They also learn how they contribute to the cultures in which they live and lead, and how they can contribute to different cultures that they would love to see around them and be part of. And they also learn how to consciously create what stays once they're gone. So how can they make their environment stronger, and how can they actually leave an impact and make a difference in the world? So that's me.
Wow, what an incredible story. It does play out like a bad movie.
It
I
does.
just can't imagine what that was like. So let me take you back. Let me take you back to that exact moment when your
Mm,
screen went black.
mm.
How did that feel in your body?
Wow, that's a great question, Gertrude. It felt like helplessness, right? It
Mm,
felt like helplessness. So I remember today, if I go back mentally into that space, I remember almost like having a cold shower all over my body,
mm.
and kind of, oh, I'm immovable in this moment. I'm paralyzed. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't think honestly I've ever experienced helplessness before or after in my entire life. But I do remember that particular moment and that particular feeling of helplessness.
So, what went through your mind when you heard that security was outside your office?
Oh, in that moment, nothing in particular. I was just thinking, okay, I never know this person. Oh, he needs me for something. I was thinking business in that moment. Oh God, there's an issue we need to discuss, right? Which obviously I realized once he got in that, oh, this is going to be a different story. This is going to be a different movie than what I've expected at the very beginning.
So, before that day, was there a moment where you knew something needed to change, but you chose safety instead?
Yeah, I love that you asked me that question, because that's exactly
Mm,
the conversation about the safe box. If I go back, might have been 6 months before that event happened, I can so clearly remember walking down the corridor. I could tell you literally today what I had on,
mm.
what was the suit I had on, what were the shoes I was walking. I could literally hear myself, this click clack thing down the corridor, and I was thinking, God, I wish I was walking down a different corridor right now. I wish I
Mm.
was in a different organization. What am I doing here? I'm not growing. I'm stagnating. I am surviving. This is not about creating. I'm struggling, I'm fighting, I'm surviving. I'm stuck in this place. I can literally remember that. But then this is what I mean when I say we decorate the safe box, because in a moment your mind shifts and you think, oh, come on, get realistic. This is
brush
a
it
good
aside.
job. This is a good role. This is a good life. You've worked really hard to get up to here. You're not going to give up now, right? So notice that a change is immediately translated into you giving up instead
Yes.
of you taking a risk for something better, right? So I do remember that moment.
So why do you think so many women stay in situations that no longer serve them?
I think for a number of reasons, for a number of stories and self-talk that we have in our own heads.
Mm,
Are we allowed to take that risk? Who else is going to be impacted by my actions if I
mhm,
take that risk, right? And in that particular moment, I wasn't married. I didn't have my own kind of family in terms of my children, which I'm sure I would have been thinking of them in that moment. I was thinking of my parents who I was already supporting and helping, and oh, what would they think? Would they approve of this, or would I be able to, if I take that risk, would I be able to still be there for them?
mm,
We all, as women, we always think about this community, family that might be impacted by the decisions that we make, and then we tell ourselves, don't go after that risk. Might be something that you want, but not now, not yet,
mm.
not here. It's not a good moment, right? And then there's another story, Gertrude. I am stronger than this.
Uh,
I can take this, right? And that's the moment when this story of ours and about our own strength actually becomes the biggest blocker, right?
yes.
So so what if I am strong?
Mm,
If that's not a place for me, the real strength is taking that leap and going
yeah,
into the unknown to find the real place that you belong to.
man. So what were the hardest moments in those 4 years of rebuilding?
Ooh, the first hardest moment was to give up my own image of myself that I knew
Mm,
up to that moment. I knew I was familiar with one image of myself, one identity that I
mm,
had been building throughout a decade. And it was really hard. When that identity was kind of stripped away
yeah,
from me, it was really hard to just say goodbye to that identity. To just
yeah,
and I when I in my book I say it was the hardest thing was to bury myself in terms of bury the identity that I knew thus far. And
yes,
when you cannot do that, you're trying to replicate things. You're trying to get back into a similar environment.
yeah,
You're not learning from the circumstances. You're just trying to um, find ways to save yourselves and get
yes,
back what you lost and what you thought you cannot do without, right? And that
yeah.
slows you down. And it's really messy and it's really painful because usually it's not coming back and it's not coming back for a reason.
No, no, it's not. Now, you wrote a book about this and you're empowering so many other women now through what happened to you and the
Mm.
transformation between now and then. What is the title of the book? And when did things start to shift for you internally?
Yeah, yeah. So my first book is called Bold Reinvented, The Next Level Leading with Courage, Consciousness and Conviction. And it was really my cathartic experience to write that book and say my story and actually say what I believe about the real, true, bold leadership. The second book is Leading on the Edge, which is already a place I'm taking leaders to take bold actions, not just to become aware of their own boldness, but what does it look like when you take bold action in the world for the sake of something bigger than yourself.
Mm,
But to answer your question, when things started to shift for me, it was in a moment when I've already tried, I think 1 million times to get my corporate life back in different organizations, right? And I do remember, I clearly remember one interview where I actually got to the very final round and I applied for a much lower position than I initially had in my organization. And I remember that person, she was really kind. She was a woman. She was sitting across me. She was really kind. And she said, you know what? You tick all of the boxes. But there's one thing, we will not employ you. There's one thing that I just cannot understand. Why would you go for such a lower position, given what your experience was? And that was a moment that I realized, you know what, this is never going to work. It's
Yeah.
just I'll never be in the right place, in the right moment, with the right story. My story just isn't right
Yeah.
for what I'm
Yeah.
trying to replicate here. And then I realized I don't know what to do next. I need some help. I need some coaching.
Right.
I just need somebody to have a conversation with me to open my mind to some different perspectives.
That's
When
awesome.
I asked for help, things started shifting for me.
I like that. So, what did you discover about yourself that you didn't know before?
Oh, I've discovered many things about myself that I didn't know before. But if we would narrow that down to one key thing, it would be that um, all my life until that moment, I was choosing what made me feel safe as opposed to what made me feel alive. I was going for a safe box as opposed for, for what's my purpose, what's my passion, what is it, that typical simple questions. What is it that I really want? No, I wasn't going there. I was going to what sounds reasonable, rational, clever.
Mm,
What's a safe path that I should be taking right now? And I would have always chosen that path.
mm. Yeah, that's really interesting because a lot of women do that.
Yeah,
It's a lot
yeah.
of us do that. So, what does inner security really mean in your life right now?
Oh, the inner security is that real sense of self confidence. Now, maybe the best thing to describe it is to make a distinction between arrogance and self confidence. So it's not
Mhm.
arrogance. It's not I've got it all. I've sorted it out all. I'm done with this. No, it's the self confidence that whatever happens to me next, and it
Right.
and it will, because that's life, I
Hmm.
will find my way to recover and to learn. And that's called growth, and that's called life, right? So that's that inner security where I know I cannot avoid difficulties, but I have
Yes.
enough of it inside grit to know how to deal with them. And if I don't know, I am sure I will learn along the
Out.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like learning to jump off a cliff and grow your wings on the way down, right?
Yes. Yes,
You know?
exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned your framework. Can you walk us through your
Mm.
soul framework and how it changed your leadership?
Yeah, so maybe I should start from why soul in a first place. It's
Yes.
because I truly believe that on the level of our souls, we're all bold, right? We're bold by birthright. It's not that it's not a person boldness is not a personality trait that some of us has and others don't. No, we're all bold, right? And during our lifetime, we kind of stop listening to our souls and take that safe path, right? So that's why it was really important for me to have that soul kind of label out there. And then obviously it's an acronym, and it's an acronym for self, other, universe, and legacy, which are the four key playgrounds, the four key domains and areas that you have to develop as a leader to actually bring conscious, bold leadership and to be able to create bold leadership cultures. So the first one is obviously self. It starts with self. That changed my life. My first real leadership, not management. I was a manager, but my first real leadership started with myself. When I started to learn about my deeply seated, deeply rooted patterns, beliefs, limiting beliefs, I started to
Yes.
disrupt myself, so that I could transform myself and then transform my life. So you're expecting yourself to change first before you're even inviting anyone else for a change. That is
Yeah.
the self domain. And then
Okay.
after that, you realize you're not there on your own. You're leading with other people. There are other people around you. What is it that we can create together that we cannot create alone? But in
Mm,
order to do that, what is the truth? the integrity and the challenge that we need to bring into our relationships. So we don't support each other in playing small, but we support each other in playing bold, right? And I think this
Mm.
is particularly important for women because we know
Yeah.
sometimes we so much care about each other that we can comfort each other with, but that's okay, but you're doing the best. Now let's challenge each other compassionately, but let's
Yes.
challenge each other. You can be more. You are more. Come
Mm.
out of that safe box, right? You will manage. Come out of that safe box. You are designed for more. And then after that, there's a universe bit, which is when we realize, well, which is what you're doing, Gertrude. The whole
Mm.
community, you're changing systems, right? You're changing systems, you're changing communities. What is it that we need to speak about, that we need to take a stand for, that we need to take action for, so that we would actually bring some common good out there in the world? Right. And
Mm.
where your passion lies within women, right? And somebody
Yeah.
else might have different passions. That's fine, but let's do it. Let's change the world from what really matters to us. And then finally, it's the legacy. It's again
See.
what you're doing, what you're creating. Well,
Mm.
what stays when you go? Something important will stay that has made a difference, that has brought the change.
I love it. I remember when we met, I told you one of the missions for her stories, not just to write women's stories into history, but to
Mhm.
work with women who are go givers and not go getters, who through
Yes.
their work, their businesses, they're not just empowering themselves, but they're pulling up
Yeah.
others along the way. And this is exactly what you're doing
Yeah.
with your work right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, what is radical connection and why is it missing in leadership today?
Oh, radical connection is actually the domain of other, right? Where I
Okay.
say we need to fully accept each other, right? So
Right.
what I see in you is something that I've got in me as well. We're so quick in judging others. Our brains are wired to kind of vote. I like her, I don't like her, I like what she's saying, I don't like what
Mhm.
she's saying. Instead of kind of thinking, oh, what is the wisdom I can learn from this person, right? How
Yeah.
is she complimenting me? How am I complimenting her? Like how are we bigger and bolder together, right?
Together.
In
Yeah.
whatever we bring. And then how can we connect through full integrity
Yes.
and truth? I think we don't share enough of hard loving truths with each other out
Mhm.
of
That's
care,
good.
telling each other, you know, again what I said before, I see you are capable of better, of bigger, of bolder scenarios, right? What do
Yeah.
you need? How can I support you to get there? Rather
Mm.
than looking at you being in that safe box and just saying, hey, yeah, too bad. She could have done something really important, but she's chosen a safe box. And you've been looking at that all along and you didn't, tell your friend, hey, come on, you know, what do you need to feel empowered? Let me help you. Let me support you. Go for it.
I love
This
it.
is radical connection. Yeah.
That's radical connection. So, what kind of women do you want your story to reach and transform?
Oh, all those women that are wondering, do I have a permission to do what I really want? Um, is my time gone, or can I still have me time? Can I still have my dreams? Can I
Yes.
still go for what I want? Can I operate from my dreams and not just from my obligations? Can I
Yes.
stop being overly responsible at the cost of just realizing my full potential? Women who really just need that little bit of a nudge of empowerment to go
Yes.
after what they really want so they can fulfill their full potential.
Now, let me take you back to the beginning. If
Mm.
that moment hadn't happened, if your screen never went black,
Hmm.
who would you still be today, do you think?
I don't know, but I am imagining I would be a far less bold person that I am today, I would have probably so beautifully decorated that safe space, that safe box for myself, already for years convincing myself that that's exactly the place that's mine, and I don't need to look across the fence or across the edge. But honestly, Gertrude, I hope I would still be healthy, like really physically healthy, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure that would be the case. I'm not sure that would be the case because all these
It
limiting beliefs and
all,
and all the dreams that we leave behind, um, all those frustrations, they are stored in our body, and then our body whispers, and then it starts to scream, and all along we're decorating that safe box, and I'm sure that would not have been a good path for me.
I do like the image of decorating the safe box. I can just see someone in an open plan office with their little cubby hole, maybe a couple of family photos. We all do this, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
decorate the
yeah,
spaces that we're forced to exist and spend time in to make it comfortable, yet sometimes it
yeah,
isn't comfortable.
yeah,
That
yeah.
is so
And
true.
yeah, and can I just say something, because I wouldn't want the audience to misunderstand us. This is not about save boxes in corporate world, and then you step into your own kind of entrepreneurial world and you don't have that safe box. No, no, no. We are always at a risk of creating a safe box, no
Yes.
matter the context. That
Yeah.
means that we continuously have to challenge ourselves and say, am I really fulfilling my potential here, or am I playing it safe? Have I again started playing it safe? So today I know that these are the questions that follow you across any context, right?
Yes. That is so true. Even if you're an entrepreneur, you're constantly striving for more,
Yes.
get
Yeah.
out of those
Yeah.
comfort zones.
Yeah.
So, my last question for you is this. If I could take you back as a thought experiment to that young woman, and you could go back and give her 3 nuggets of wisdom,
Mm.
based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be?
The first one would be, listen to the signals that occur in you. They might be occurring in your body, in your mind, at the level of your emotions. If there is a signal, a nudge for change, follow that voice. That would be the first one. The second one would be learn, learn, and learn. Never stop learning and make yourself your own curriculum, because you really need to understand who you are and how you operate in good times and also under pressure. That's going to be really useful for you one day. And the last thing I would say, just stay joyful, because you will recover no matter what comes your way. Sometimes it feels like you've just been buried, when in fact somebody has just planted you and you're about to grow into something different and so much bolder and more beautiful than you ever were.
I love that last one. It's interesting you should bring that up. I'm speaking at an Afrofuturism conference in Brazil
I
in
don't know why I
November.
have lost the sound, Gertrude, so I cannot hear you.
You can't hear me? No sound?
No, I am
Um,
reading from your lips, but I cannot hear you. Maybe it's on my
okay.
end.
Drop out of the call and come back in. That makes sense? Did you see the message? The best things happen when we are doing these podcast interviews. Technology does challenge us every once in a while. So let's see if my guest comes back for that last question and thoughts before we part company. Well, while I'm waiting for her to come back, I will be speaking at an Afrofuturism Leadership Conference in Salvador, Brazil, in November this year. And my presentation is called "They Thought They Had Buried Us, but They Didn't Realize That We Were Seeds." So a lot of times when things are happening to you in the workplace, any challenges that you're having in life, when you feel like you're being buried, sometimes it's the best thing that is happening to you. It's not the worst, but the best. So I'm just going to make sure that Zana has got the link to this. I'll just send it to her via email. I've just remembered that when we connected, she didn't actually physically have this connection as well. I'll also see if I can find her on WhatsApp. It would be really lovely for us to have her final thoughts before we finish the episode. We were almost there with only one more question or thought to go. So fingers crossed she gets my message and she jumps back on. But if she doesn't, it was lovely to hear from this amazing woman, a journey that you have been on, Zana. Thank you for coming online and sharing your amazing story with us. I am going to try and give you a quick call so you know that I've put the link in an email. There she is. Good. Wonderful. I was just about to call you just to make sure you got the email.
This is like in life, the technical glitches happen.
When life happens, we just have to keep going. So I was saying before you left, the conference I'm speaking at, the title of my speech is "They Thought They Had Buried Us, but They Didn't Realize That We Were Seeds." Yes. So it's beautiful that you're ending with this. Sometimes the worst thing when you feel like you're being buried under something is probably the best thing that's happening to you. So thank you for ending the podcast on such a positive note.
Thank you. Thank you, Gertrude.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to help take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you are a woman who's feeling stuck, don't try and do this alone. Get the help that you need. I have Zana's website at the bottom of the screen. Reach out and get the support and help that you need. Or if you know someone, another woman who's feeling stuck, doesn't know how to move in her leadership position, tag them on this video, please. Help this video go viral so we can empower more women to live boldly. Zana, thank you again for the interview.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and And together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story. Wonderful.